All right. Got my coffee. Whole espresso bean. Always good. So let's go get adjusted here. Everybody, welcome back, in a sense, to coaching in the car, getting coffee, going to the chiropractor. It's been a long time. It's been a minute. So I thought I'd take a trip with you on this rainy day to go get some coffee and then get my back cracked at the chiropractor. Yeah, all right. So another purpose for this video is I'm actually testing out some new software that I wanted to tell you about. So look for that at the end of the video. I'm going to tell you about Descript and how it is helping me better edit these videos more quickly and better workflow. But hopefully we're going to be testing out a new feature they have that is going to deal with some of the sound, so before and after of the sound here in the car without using a isolated microphone. I'm going to try this out and see how well this works, and if it's a disaster, we'll just kind of edit this part out. I doubt it. It's been great so far, so that's what we're doing. So today I want to talk to my IT people, to my people of IT. And here's why. There's another video that I did for Citrix Coach in the Car Getting Coffee. And that was a special thing. I never actually released it. I probably will after that I record this because it doesn't make sense without the context. But every so often, there's this discussion that happens in the technology world of X is being bought. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And so this morning there was a little bunch of news that Citrix is seeking a buyer. It's not confirmed. It's not anything like that, but still this stuff spreads like crazy every single time. So I wanted to address this as rapidly as I can, and because it happens all the time in technology. It's just part of the game. Citrix has been trying to sell itself for longer than I can recall. I've had conversations with like Mark Templeton, for example, that it's being in discussions for a long time, even when the valuation of the company was only about $3 billion. It seems like there was always the discussion. Now that it's 13.8 or whatever billion, yeah, it's probably a bigger deal for a lot of different reasons. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is, as a person in IT, especially if you are somebody who is making their living currently on something that I kind of recommend them doing, which is niching down, actually being really good at something. If you're really good at Citrix, here's some questions you need to ask yourself if you're concerned about Citrix being sold. One, do you think that the bedrock of your career, the thing that you've really embraced as being the most important to you, that it's been such a huge deal, do you think that's just going to go away just because they're bought? Have you ever seen anything in the technology world that indicates that would ever happen? Probably not. It's very, very rare. I'm trying to think of any circumstance where I've seen a technology be bought and it being shut down overnight or changed dramatically overnight. Very, very few. In fact, Citrix itself has acquired a lot of companies. So my friend Jeff will tell you that things like Unidesk get acquired and they get integrated. So first of all, your fear of losing your viability because Citrix is acquired is really spurious from that point alone, that, you know what, you're not really at risk of anything being right away apparent. The other thing that happens when we have these acquisitions, and if this were to happen by technology, is that there's usually a lot of notice that goes with this. There's a lot of runway up to an acquisition, meaning something like taking out that functionality and putting it as part of something else. So something like Citrix, not gonna happen. No, I just don't see it. But even if it did, you'd have a lot of notice and a lot of time to prep yourself for that change. That's a big part of that. Is what I'll say about that. The next bit of reality that I'll say here is the likelihood of Citrix being acquired by another technology company is pretty low. Like really low. We can get some context in this. Maybe we'll have them back on a Thrivecast and talk more about this. But but a company that knows a little bit about this is iGel. So iGel was acquired by a company that wasn't really a primarily tech company, but it's something that affected the way they do things, right? So it's a difference in the way business is run. But as far as iGel, the technology, there's no changes at all. We've been mostly to the sales side of things and a little bit of people resources changes and things like that. But honestly, there's not been a lot of change to iGel. In fact, one of the primary things they saw was an increase of resources that they could use to bring the technology more to market. So if anything, a company like iGel, for example, being acquired can be a pretty good thing. So is that true of something like Citrix? If they get acquired at all, maybe. But I question who would have the clout to really do that would want to make any kind of changes in something that's already working. Let's be honest about this. So that's a big part of that. I'm going to get some coffee because I am now at my friends at Southerners Coffee here in Franklin, Tennessee at their little stand here. So I'm going to get some coffee and come back. All right. Got my coffee. So let's go get adjusted here. As far as being a person of IT and worrying about things changing, there's something else I want you to think about. That is the fact that you're worried about things changing. In a world that changes so dramatically, so often. It's funny, when I first started in information technology over 20 years ago, there was a lot of folks that, this is going to sound kind of ironic, but I always thought of them as the long-haired hippie people with punch cards and things like that to do their computing. Well, now here I am 20 some odd years later, long hair, I don't have the punch cards, but I'm giving the same kind of perspectives, but a different kind of advice. A lot of those guys got really jaded, and there's a lot of things about that was really awful. First of all, they were almost all guys. That was the big thing. There was almost no diversity of information technology back when I started. It was just, you get these territorial, misogynist kind of like perspectives on things that really kind of stank, first of all. Second of all, you had these attitudes that oh, well, people need me. And when technology started to change, that was a hit to their pride, I guess you could say. It was something where they started to realize that the skill sets that they developed weren't going to really be adequate to keep them employed or keep them important. Or more importantly, from a psychological perspective, it wasn't enough to keep them needed. And that's something that we need to look at a lot in information technology. I've talked about this before, but the reality is, if you have something that's keeping you needed, you will try to protect that. And the way that a lot of these legacy folks in information technology tried to protect that was by getting kind of crotchety about it and kind of doing some sabotage on other technologies and things like that. So it's easy to fall into that trap. And when it comes to being worried about the technology changing, just be aware of your mentality with this. Are you worried about it changing because you are going to have to learn something new? Or are you worried about it because you feel that you might be replaced, or that you might no longer be viable, or more importantly, that people aren't going to depend on you the same way they will, and it won't feel the same way? Be honest with yourselves, because honestly, that's key to surviving, recognizing that your emotions are driving this more than logic. And I know that's hard for some people that work in information technology to hear, but it's something you need to hear, that a lot of times our emotions drive us and we don't realize the way that's happening. Emotional responses aren't in and of themselves bad. Sometimes when you have an emotional response, it means, oh, I have this need, or this external need, not an internal need. There's a difference. Maybe I'll get into that someday. But external need would be that the technology is changing and I need to change. Here's the thing. With technology, this is always the case. This has always been the case. It probably always will be the case. That rapid changes, rapid innovation cause us to need to change what we're learning on an almost daily basis. It's crazy. If that's inevitable, the way you feel about that needs to be examined. And so if that is something where that is uncomfortable, it might be time to shift the way you're approaching your role in technology. There are ways to be in technology without constantly be under the rush of trying to figure out what's next and how to do it. There are ways to be in technology without that. Maybe we'll get into that another time. If that's something you want to hear more about, let me know in the comments, and I'll try and make a note to make a video about that. Here's the reality about constant change in technology, is that it's going to be there. It's going to get worse before it gets better. So either deal with this now or get out. I know people need the kitten gloves or whatever, but in this case, no kitten gloves. I'm just going to say it like it is. If you don't like rapid change, information technology is not the field for you, all right? Get out. Go do something else. There are so many things you can do with your passions and so many things you can do with the unique way you were created. You don't need to be in information technology you don't force yourself to do it just because of like the golden handcuffs of money or whatever. That's just complete and utter crap. All right, don't do it. One final thing I'll say about this for this video, and in terms of the worry and things like that, there's another way to combat this, and that is to stop hinging your career based on what you know in technology. This is the whole reason why I decided to publish Just Do This. It's because I recognized that a lot of people were so dependent on the technology, what they learned about the technology, that when the technology changed, and it did, then they were always left with this sense of dread. They were always feeling behind because they always were behind. They weren't really getting anywhere in their career because they were always spending their nights trying to learn something new or whatever, and not really learning what it took to actually get successful beyond that. That is why I wrote that book. That's core to Just Do This, a simpler way to succeed in IT. It's methodology. It's how you apply the things that you have learned, because you're always going to learn new things. And so if you don't have a mechanism to apply that properly, then you're not even going to get anywhere. So that's my kind of shameless plug, whatever. I wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't valuable to you, all right? This is not just me trying to sell books because maybe I'll do another video sometime and show you people the reality of what somebody makes as an author, and it's laughable, all right? I have yet to turn any kind of profit on the books. My reason for doing it is more because it's the things that I talk about all the time. And so if I have a mechanism to get that out and have you take the time and study it, then they'll actually get somewhere with it. So that's why the book was written. That's why I sell it. Is more for that reason than anything else. So go get the book. Now, for those of you that are staying tuned to the end here to learn more about Descript and that process, if you are a content creator and bored by everything I just said and more interested in, hey, how does this software work? Yeah, I get something special for you coming up right now, because I am pulling in to the chiropractor, and so we're going to show you how I'm using Descript to edit the content, get the video part of it done, the audio cleaned up, and how I'm using this to make a complete transcript, and how that all comes together into one beautiful package. So stay tuned for that. See you next time.
All right, we are going to try Descript here. This is what I was talking about earlier in the video. You can see me here, and yeah, just realized I'm not set up for recording system audio. Let's do that. Okay, one click. You know, I'm being kind of meta here. I'm actually using Snagit to capture the video editing, another program, but you know, whatever. Anyway, so with Descript, what you can do here is you can come into your program files. I've actually uploaded these already, and that's something to keep in mind, that this is a kind of a hybrid of services. So it's both a app that's on your computer, but it also has a online component. So it's processing in the cloud and on your local machine for the various functions we'll see here in a few minutes. So click the original.
All right, everybody, welcome back, in a sense, to Coaching in a Car, Getting Coffee.
So that's, you know, what that is. And so let's move forward in the video a little bit. some more engine noise.
Yeah, all right. So another purpose for this video is to better edit these videos more quickly and a better workflow.
All right, so that's just a few samples of the audio itself. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to, since we have it selected already, we can do this one of two ways. We can actually just go in here and do what's called apply studio sound, or do it over here, either one. I'll show you the transcribing feature in a few moments here, but we'll just do apply studio sound, and you can see that it's actually working in both, I think, the cloud and locally. As far as that goes, let's take a look. I can see that the script is currently not doing much at all. It's just doing the basic minimum stuff. So the processing is happening in the cloud as far as that goes. And so what will happen here in a few minutes is it will return back that file fully done. So depending on the length of the file, obviously, it'll probably have some impact on that. Okay, and literally in the time that I hit pause and went to take a drink, heard it. So intensity is just how much of the sound correction we're going to get. So let's have a listen here.
Thing, it's I never actually released it. I probably will after I record this, because it doesn't make sense without the context.
So you can hear it's
every so often.
So much, so I can.
There's this discussion that happens in the technology world.
Off a little bit. Gonna back this off a little bit, and let's try that.
A buyer.
So you can hear
it's not confirmed.
Noise.
It's not anything like that, but still, this stuff spreads like crazy every single time. So I wanted to address this as rapidly as I can, and because it happens all the time in technology. I mean, it's just part of the game. Citrix has been trying to sell itself for longer than I can recall.
So that's the gist of it. So that's me just adjusting the intensity of the correction of the sound overall, so it's not trying to do too much, but it's doing enough. So the second thing I want to show you is that it can transcribe, and again, this is going to happen in the cloud, and you can actually, I'll just enter my name here so it knows who's who. I'll add myself as a speaker, and then the optional thing here is create a composition. I don't have I guess I already have a composition here, so I don't need to, but I could just create this as a composition right here and just say done. And it's going to add that to my, to a composition here. And I can actually just take that description out a little bit, so it's a nice title. And you can see very quickly, it actually identified that, the words that are there. So look at things like this. So you have filler words that I tend to do when I'm recording, or especially live, like yeah and pauses and all those kind of things like that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say remove filler words. What this is going to do in the version that I have is look at a lot of these words and take them out. So what we can do is two ways. We can either just edit the video itself, so it's just going to not have that as part of it, or you can just do this with a gap clip, which means that there's just silence as far as that goes. So in my case, I find that doing this in the car video, it's kind of, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. What I'm going to do in this case is I'm actually going to replace with a gap clip. Yeah, I can't speak. Replace with a gap clip so that it actually applies that as just a gap in the field C. So what I'm going to do here is look through here and look for filler words that don't really add value, like things like this, like
technology. I mean, it's just part of.
So it's really not all that much there, right? So are these
call? There's been doing, which is kind of nation down.
I'm going to need to adjust my studio stand a little bit more. I think it sounds like it's still a little too intense, but
that indicates that would ever happen.
And okay, here's a case of this one I need to ignore, right? I need to actually, that's a proper sentence, even though it's a repeated word. Indicates that would happen. Anyway, what we'll do here is ignore that one. And we're going to say the rest here.
Probably not. It's very.
So it's a repeated word.
Probably not. It's very.
You can see that. So I mean, we could go through here and select each one and just take it out. Just delete, and it's gone, I should say. But that'll cause these gaps. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just do the filler words. And I just realized that one of the things in my case is if there is any background noise, then the gap clip will make it silent. So in this case, I might actually just experiment with not doing the gap clip. The more I'm thinking about that. So it'll actually just take those out. I think that'll be less distracting than the back and forth between the background noise. As good as the studio sound thing is, I just have a feeling that that might actually make it worse. What'll end up happening here is kind of a new process that I'm using as well, is we'll put in some, when we go to finalize this video, we'll actually put in some music underneath it to better, make that not so horrible, but we'll get to that. Anyway, we'll just apply to all here, or you can just apply to individuals and it'll take it out, or you can do it all.
You know what? You're not really.
And if you just do it, the apply thing, it's just going to go right into the next. So I've done this both ways, but a lot of times this does a really good job, and you're seeing the text here. So you're actually able to make a good decision pretty easily as to what's repeated words. You can also do this up here to where you say, I'm going to unselect, for example, I will just unselect repeated words for this time around, and then quick scan through these, and these look like filler words or filler phrases, this sort of thing. And I can just apply that to all to delete those. And now if we look at that, let's see some examples here.
So I'm going to get some coffee and come back with this.
So that was a little awkward. I'm not going to lie. So you look at my face here.
So I'm going to get some coffee and come back with this.
So I think I'm actually not going to do that. I think we're going to try that a different way. So you can see there's a gap that was removed there.
Get some coffee. Get some coffee and come back with this.
Anyway, that's the gist of it. I'll play with it, and you'll see the final. Well, you've already seen the final product, actually, but that's kind of the process here we're going through. So I'm just going to make the decision individually in this particular case, which ones we can do. But we can also remove, if there are lots of word gaps, we can specify how much of a gap we want to take out. And so that's something I'll be processing as well to see, okay, is there some way we can make this video a little shorter and do that? So I will be looking at the word gaps as well. And so that gives it kind of a, now what that can do in a video is make it look choppy. So it's something I do in a podcast all the time, but in these kind of things, I might, in a lot of these cases, just have the YouTube video or just the video in general, just out there as you normally have it. And then when I actually go to finalize it as a podcast episode, then I'll come back into Descript, take out the gaps and do it that way. So anyway, that's how it works. You can take a look at Descript. Just follow our link, thrive-it.com/DESCRIPT.
Another thing that we might, sorry. Okay, that's just awful. Somebody driving past the side of the median, play a little Pac-Man there. That's why we pay attention to the road, not to the recording. It's very important. So if you are doing this for some reason and you think, oh yeah, this is just something I'll just do, if you're not practiced in keeping your eyes on the road and not on the phone in your own picture that you see on the phone over there when you're recording, maybe don't do this. Or maybe just don't do this. Maybe just realize that I've, I don't know, done this for a while and practiced. Maybe I'll just come on there. Okay.